As Nigeria continues to grapple with security concerns, the lingering question remains, why has banditry and terrorism prevailed in the country? Now, a former general officer commanding one division of the Nigerian Army, retired Major General Danjuma Ali-Keffi, has alleged that terror sponsors are sabotaging the efforts of government. He claims that terror sponsors are linked to the death of Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, in an air crash in 2021. He's now called on President Bola Tinubu to probe the incident, since the late general had devised a strategy to end terrorism in northern Nigeria.
All right, let's bring in retired Major General Danjuma Ali-Keffi, a former general officer commanding one division of the Nigerian Army. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. To start with, what exactly is the basis of your allegations? Very strong allegations there that that crash that led to the death of former Chief of Army Staff was orchestrated.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. First and foremost, it's important to put this in the proper perspective, right? Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, the late Chief of Army Staff who died in that ill-fated plane crash on the 21st of May 2021, was highly committed in the fight against insurgency, terrorism in the country. And within the short period of his time, of his headship of the Nigerian Army, we all witnessed tremendous progress in the security situation, largely in the northwest and other parts of the country. And as a matter of fact, being his the general officer commanding one division, which is the premier division of the Nigerian Army, also very much aware of the strategy and plan that he had in place, that he had in mind to address this. And he had tasked us to review the situation with a view to coming up with workable strategies that will address the situation. And we were on that, and as a matter of fact, on the visit, the day the plane crashed, we were to discuss certain things regarding the way forward to address those things. And as I stated during my interview with your sister organization, that is the Tuesday, right, there were a chain of events that preceded, and even on the actual day of the crash, that gave room for questions. So many questions that needed to be answered. He was, due to come by 1000 hours, that's 10 a.m. Friday, that was 21st of May 2021. And for some reasons, right, we ended our conversation the night before, that was on the 20th, on Thursday night, with the understanding that he was coming by 10 o'clock the following morning, and I was to arrange for us to attend the Jumat Friday service. And then the following morning, when I called to inquire if the program was still as we discussed, they said there was a change in plan. Apparently, he had received a call just before he went to bed that there was to be a meeting. I can't remember where precisely, but a meeting which he was to attend in passing. And therefore, he wouldn't be able to come before the Jumat. So it was agreed that he was going to depart Abuja airport by 1600, that's about 4 p.m. thereabouts. And the flight time is usually 20-25 minutes to Kaduna. And I was informed that he will leave the flag house, that's the official residence of the Chief of Army Staff here in Abuja, and proceed to the airport. And that takes normally between 30-35 minutes, and because it's a fast movement, convoy movement. And he got to the airport at about 16:05 hours. That's 5 minutes after 4. I was informed of that, and they made their way to board the flight. And for some inexplicable reason, which I till today I cannot, I don't understand. I cannot say, right? They were kept at the airport for over an hour and a half. Meantime, back in Kaduna, we were waiting to receive him at the Air Force, Nigerian Air Force base, which is at Kau, and the weather has started forming, and there was a weather warning that the Kaduna airspace wasn't to be, this thing was to be avoided between certain period, that is between 17:30, that's 5:30 p.m. to about 1830 hours. And,
all right. I'm sorry to cut you here, General, because I know how difficult this can be, especially when you worked with him closely, and you were also at that scene. According to that report, you saw burning bodies on that day. But quickly, let me take you back so that you can expatiate on something here. You said there was no crater. This was indicative of a mid-air explosion. So what caused the aircraft to explode? This is coming from a general who has seen a whole lot, who is well trained like yourself. So could you let us in on what exactly this could mean? No crater.
Right. We were approaching the tarmac to receive him, and the weather was really atrocious. It was really heavily. In fact, there was ice particles, and I believe the aircraft, we sighted it from a distance, right, descending to land. It was at about treetop level. So when we rounded the bend to the tarmac, we were prepared to go and receive him at the foot of the aircraft, and I even directed my aide-de-camp then that he should get the orderly to come with 2 umbrellas for us to listen. So believing that by the time we got on the tarmac, right, the aircraft would be taxiing to a stop. So we didn't sight the aircraft on the runway, and we looked frantically around, then saw a burning flame by the side of the runway. It was the aircraft burning. Now, like I said, the aircraft was at treetop level when we sighted it coming to this. So it wasn't, the altitude wasn't so high. Now, if an aircraft should fall from that altitude, from that height, it will fall like a box. I mean, it wouldn't disintegrate. But again, if it fell from that height, and then this, right, the impact, it will come with dead weight, heavy weight, and there will be some crater, that is, borrow some hole into the ground. And let's not forget, it was on the soft grass, not on the hard tarmac, on the hard runway. So, but there wasn't anything like that. And also, we looked around, there was no corpses around. It was later we saw the corpses strewn some distance away from the aircraft, and unfortunately they were on fire. Apparently they were in flames at the time the aircraft is in. Now, if there wasn't an explosion in that aircraft, that mid-air explosion, they would have come down without aircraft to the ground, and they will be strapped to their seat, perhaps on the ground with that distance. But that was not the case. They were flung out of the aircraft, which I'm not an expert in aviation. I'm not an expert in this, but common sense, right? It was indicative that an explosion happened mid-air, and that was why they were flown out, and that was why the aircraft did not come out in full, that is, in its full form. It came out in debris, wreckage, and did not have that force to cause crater on the ground.
If I may come in, just because unfortunately we don't have that much time. What you're saying, if we understand you very clearly, is that there was a sabotage, and I'm thinking this sabotage, was it specifically against the person of the Chief of Army Staff who died in that unfortunate, ill-fated air crash, Ibrahim Attahiru, or was this an attempt to sabotage the war against terrorism? Is that what it is? Help us understand what you are saying has happened.
Well, to start with, the term sabotage or the word sabotage, I mean, that's not a term that I use and doesn't describe something, because this is the reason why we are calling on the President, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, to set up a high-powered probe panel to look into the cause. Now, what caused that explosion? Was it something that was taken into the aircraft, perhaps by one of the passengers unknowingly? I do not know. I mean, there are so many questions that are begging for answers, and I think it's at the end of the investigation or the panel that should be set up, or that will be set up. We pray for that will determine this thing. Now, coming to the question, right? No doubt, General Attahiru was committed wholeheartedly to ending the insurgency in the country, and he had outlined strategies that would have led us, in a manner of speaking, to the promised land. And his death, without a shadow of a doubt, right, truncated or sabotaged that effort to this. So it was the death, or if it was caused by an external party, that is, if it wasn't an accident, then it was against the entire nation, because General Attahiru's death has dealt a heavy blow. Look at what has happened. We were on the verge of achieving success. Even his predecessor said that General Attahiru was on track to ending the insurgency. Now, this was, let's not forget, earlier, that same predecessor had said that insurgency was going to last about 20 years. But after General Attahiru's death, based on what was saying, he said General Attahiru was on track to end the insurgency. So General Attahiru's death dealt a blow to the entire country. Look at the situation we are today, right? Take, for instance, the one division area of responsibility, which covered Niger State, Kaduna State, Jigawa State, and Kano State, and part of Yobe State. 4 local governments in Yobe State. I mean, there was tremendous progress that was achieved. Look at in Kaduna State, the road between Birnungwari, Tegina up to Mokwa was already open, and traffic was plying that distance. The kidnapping along the Kaduna-Abuja highway had almost ceased. I mean, and the area in Niger State, the former governor of Niger State, His Excellency Sani Bello, said this after we conducted some operation, that the bandits, the Boko Haram, so-called Boko Haram that were in 10 local governments there, had been cleared completely. And now, what is the situation after General Attahiru's death? So, definitely, General Attahiru's death was
we're really out of time, and we're hoping that the President definitely will listen and quickly swing into action and do all of this. But quickly, if we can do this in 30 seconds, listening to you now takes us back to August of 2023, when in Niger State, a Niger Air Force helicopter was brought down by bandits. That was the first time Nigeria suffered such an attack from any criminal within. Is this indicative of some kind of infiltration, or some kind of, does it also point to what you're highlighting, asking the President to have a second look?
No, it's not indicative of this, and don't forget that an aircraft can be brought down even by a small arm, that is rifle, depending on the altitude and depending on the angle of shot. So I've not seen the reports. I'm not privy to any reports, so I wouldn't jump into conclusions as to exactly this thing. So I don't think there was, say, infiltration or this. There was perhaps lessons will be learned by the commanders. I know the current GOC 1 Division, he was my chief of staff when I was the general officer commander, a fantastic officer. And as we are witnessing today, there has been a tremendous progress, achievement in the 1 Division area of responsibility, and also elsewhere in other districts. But of course, the challenges still remain, and it is still important that the military strategize along with other security agencies to bring an end to this thing. And one of the problems we're having is a lack of synergy between them, and again, poor planning. Absolutely poor planning. I mean, like the adage goes, nobody plans to fail, but fails to plan. And I think that is one of our greatest setbacks. And if we should look at the organization.
Right. Very, very important points you make there. But in response to that interview that you had with our sister publication this day, the Air Force has been saying, look, it's you know, sour grapes. It's coming from a disgruntled, officer or general actually, who was fired from the military. I wonder what your response would be to that.
Well, they are entitled to their own opinion. I mean, if they say it's disgruntled, well, I've written a letter of redress, a petition to the president. I outlined this. We are on a national assignment. The former President Muhammadu Buhari, appointed me to head a presidential task force, which had this as its mandate, part of what we're talking about, that is to stem the insecurity and this, by specifically targeting the criminal elements, the financiers and other things. And we were well and truly. And you saw what happened to the leadership of the Boko Haram. You saw what happened to this thing. So, and I requested the president to look into the issue that it was an unfair treatment meted to me. It was injustice. I stated my case and this thing. And as a matter of fact, let me just state that I wrote that letter of redress 7 months ago, dated 21st of June last year, and was handed over to this thing, but for some inexplicable reason, it wasn't handed over to this thing. It wasn't my intention, this thing, but, well, 7 months is a long time to this thing, and I requested the president to kindly order an investigation. This,
all right. That's a fine place. Yeah. Right. I apologize, but it's a fine place for us to leave it. The president, no doubt, has been a listening president from what we've seen so far, going by complaints, any complaint from Nigerians. Retired Major General Danjuma Ali-Keffi, former General Officer commanding 1 Division of the Nigerian Army, Kaduna. Many thanks for speaking with us here on News 9.